So in the previous video, we finished some of the modeling details at the top here. And what we're going to do now is to look over the base and see if there isn't anything that we can fix up before we start adding any of the planting. Now, right off the word go, we can see that the original site mesh is basically overlapping with our current site. So what we want to do, let's just extract out the parts that we need to edit. Let's isolate that. And we need to here delete this part of the mesh of the original site where our site is currently located. So to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to boolean out from these two objects, and we're going to use this object spline, the original line which is the base, and we're going to copy that, move it down, just re-isolate so we don't bother that original object which is our hardscape. And now we're going to extrude this slightly higher. Let's say 100 meters should be enough. Just double check that. And we're going to need two of these objects since we're booleaning from this one and this one. So you can actually go and Control V, just make a copy for yourself. Now selecting this, you may just want to copy the UV map, which will be lost as we do the boolean process. So let's go to compound objects. I've already got it selected. Go to Pro Boolean, scroll down, take no edge removal, and then click Start Picking. Then just delete that section. Now you see this object is still here because we created a copy. And now we want to do exactly the same process. And just repeat that again. And click Start Picking. Now here I'm left with the object, so I'm just going to manually remove that guy, since he's not supposed to be here. Just going to hit delete. And I'm going to paste that UV map, and you'll notice that this one has actually disappeared. I forgot to copy it. So let's just see if we can do it this way. And if we're in luck, we wouldn't have damage to the UV map. So it looks like it's in the right place, but we should actually copy it beforehand, just before doing the boolean. So we must try not to forget about that, since now this one's UV map is actually on the side. But since they're all exactly the same size, it should be correct. Right, so let's zoom into our site here, and you'll see that there's a bit of an edge going on. So what we want to do is we want to create a bit of a berm there around the edge of the site. So what we can do is we can grab the site mesh, we can isolate it, and we also have some more editing to do on it, since in our current scheme we don't need this pier here. So let's just add an edit poly. We can even collapse to, so that we get rid of the boolean, since I don't think we need to undo that. And let's go and manually delete these polygons here. And let's go into our top view. And let's just delete this here too. We're going to delete all these rows. You just click remove, and we'll left that one there so we can keep that corner. Now, to make that berm, let's just select this entire edge. Like so. Let's try click on loop. Loop doesn't work. We had this one selected. Let's click on loop and see how far we go. And then I'm just going to select it manually. And then I'm going to drag that edge down just so we can create our berm. Right, that's done. So holding down shift, let's just drag that down. And then in the top view, let's move it across slightly. And then holding down control, click on polygon. And let's detach that. We're detaching it so that we can use it as a separate object, and we can then manipulate it further according to what we need. I'm just going to move these back into place. And these as well. And there is some refinement you can still do with your own time. Here we're going to add a grass texture map to this in one of the next sections. All I just wanted to show you is how you can use the original objects to derive new objects from. So all of this is going to be our planting area. Now the one thing you can do is you can isolate out this, which will become the base for what our grass will be sitting on. Let's just go back and select the actual object that the grass will be on, since we're not trying to select the pavement edge, but rather the flat surface, which is this one. And let's just move that spline in plan view to be in line with what we've just created, this berm. What that means is that we're going to have a grass surface and we don't need to have 2 layers of it. Over here we can actually delete this whole part. And we can move that to there. The reason why I'm doing that is we're going to actually be using these objects to copy our planting around, and I don't want to have one object underneath the other. Just delete that there. And we're going to do the same thing here. Or perhaps this berm object can actually move in a bit, just so that the two don't overlap. That's good enough for now. Right, so we have these objects, and these will all be textured later as plain grass. So let's just make them gray for now. And let's go back into our entire model. And let's just have a look at which areas we will be adding grass to. Now we want to add grass here to this area. We want to add grass there. Now we need to move up this bottom line of that berm to 2 meters, which is the height of our platform podium. First, before we do that, let's just move them all planar in Z. And then let's move this number to 2 meters. Just get that right. So if we have a look now, they're all sitting at the right plane. Now we also may need to redo this edge. Now it's quite quick. We just need to copy the sweep, delete that, select the spline, go Control V, copy it, and instead of this extrude, we just paste the sweep. And there you go, the new pavement edge is updated, and we don't have to spend more than 3 seconds doing that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to add some planting and trees to here, some planting along this band, and we're also going to add some planting to this area over here on top of the podium. Now for that area on top of the podium, what we need to do is we can go Control V for this top slab, we can copy that, we can remove this extrude modifier, and the planting strip is right here, so we want to move it slightly higher so that it doesn't interfere with our slab. So we can just move it up by, let's say, 0.1, and we can just bring it in slightly smaller. So let's select the edge, and going across to outline, let's just go minus 0.5. And now that's brought it in slightly. So let's just hit delete, and that'll delete the outer edge. And this right here, we're going to call that 0.1 grass. We're going to add that to that layer. Now this here we're going to add to grass as well. I've just selected it here, and we're going to add that. So if we have a look at what's on our grass layer, it's going to be this. Now we can add either an edit poly or an extrude modifier. Let's just add edit poly, and here we can add edit poly as well, just so we don't have 2 surfaces too close to each other giving us those. those viewing issues. So here we have the grass objects, and in the next video we're going to have a look at creating some basic, very low poly palm trees that we're going to create proxies of, as well as a very simple billboard bush that we're going to replicate over these planting areas. So just to sum up for one last time before we go, what we've done in this video is we've edited the main mesh for the site just so that the current site fits into it neatly, and we've gone and identified the areas that we will use for planting. And it's important that the two areas or the different areas that you have selected for planting do not overlap each other one above the other. Otherwise, when you replicate your plants over it, you will have plants kind of being inside each other. You'll get the idea later once we get to the next video, just in a moment.